This is Madison Dobson, and we're from South Mississippi. And we heard about you from someone on Facebook, actually, shared your information and their story of recovery from Epstein-Barr. And that's how we got connected with you. Madison had multiple facets of things. We were diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome. She was diagnosed with Epstein-Barr and multiple other things. We had a doctor for every part of her body, basically. She was spending probably about 75% of her days in a wheelchair, off and on. She just would have illnesses and paralysis that would come on unexpectedly. And then every time it would come, it would kind of get worse. And it was starting to affect more parts of her organ system, her respiratory, cardiac issues. She was having digestive issues. She couldn't eat very much. She wasn't able to hold her bladder. There was just a lot of multifaceted things for her. And she was diagnosed with multiple things. We were told she had juvenile arthritis, juvenile onset of ALS. But the CRPS, I guess, diagnosis was probably the worst of the issues that we were really dealing with at the moment. There was time where she couldn't put any weight on her, from her knee to her ankles, and she would just scoot on her butt. And then it was just heartbreaking to see. And then the worst time was like right before we met you, when we were going to go to Arkansas to that facility, and she had lost movement from the waist down. And like couldn't even like pick herself up, and so that was terrible. Like that was the moments I was like, something has got to be done, and we've got to find help somewhere. So anyway, she's come a long way. So thank you. Do you remember the first time you came home from Chicago? I remember she was having terrible. She didn't sleep very much at night, and she was having terrible chest pains. We were having a lot of. We were back and forth to different cardiologists with the heart issues. Just heart would race at different times, and that stopped the first visit to Chicago. Like the heart palpitations and the crazy, running of the heartbeat stopped. And I think that was the biggest thing, because that was very physically painful for her. Much, she already had the pain in the limbs and the legs, but her chest would just constantly hurt with chest pain because of the rapid heart rate. And I know that was the biggest thing immediately that we saw, for sure.
Yeah.
We've been very pleased. Dr. Chris has been fabulous, and has really just since the first visit Madison had, we saw a lot of results. I remember the first time she came home from Chicago with her dad, because I wasn't able to go. I was pregnant at the time. There was a lot of her symptoms that had already started to dissipate. And every time she went back to see Dr. Chris in Chicago, more and more of her symptoms of her issues were starting to fizzle out. And so she's maintained nothing but health since then. And Dr. Chris has just been wonderful. So we've had a great experience all together. You figured out what the solution was, and that just was amazing, because we were exhausted, and as a parent, to see your child constantly deteriorate and there's nothing you could do, and you tested for multiple things, and she'd constantly medication after medication and different doctors, and it was just very frustrating and upsetting to see your child just constantly deteriorate. And so Dr. Chris figured out the solution, and that's I tell people all the time, just go, just see what he has to say. Believe in the process. It's a process that you would probably have never heard of before, because I know we didn't. And we just had to have faith. And, we really didn't have a whole lot of other options. But we knew that it was the right step when she came back the first time and had such results in just one visit with you. We started treatment like the 1st of April, or the end of April, I think, in 2021. And then by October, Madison was on a skateboard. She was in between, a wheelchair in between that, and she was very unable to be sturdy, I guess, on her feet, and she just had like some muscle weaknesses and just unsure about herself. And then, it would be different limbs that she would get the paralysis in. So between October and November, she started training back with gymnastics. In January, she actually competed in gymnastics. So it was a remarkable recovery from where she was previously. Last year, she was a level 6 state champ in Mississippi, the state of Mississippi. She was state champion. And so it was just remarkable to see her win that. And she went to North Carolina, competed at the regional level. And so we just, just excited for her future, that she really proved that she could do whatever she wants now. And she's not afraid of being sick again. That was a big thing, always, a little bit of back in her mind of, is this gonna just, last a little while and then be sick again? And because, her illness kind of started that way. She'd be well and then sick and then well, then sick, until we met Dr. Chris. So
I can play with my friends unlike I could because of headaches. I would always have to stay in a dark room, and that's not the same anymore. I can do sports. I can socialize with my family, because about a year ago I couldn't, because I was too out of energy and all of that.
Whenever you were sick.
Yeah. And I plan to open a gym one day and be a coach, probably, or yeah.
She wants to open her own gymnastics gym.
Yeah.
The sky is the limit of what she plans to accomplish.